So you're in Canada, right?
I am in Canada,
Okay,
yes.
cool. Hi, great morning, everybody. Happy Sunday to you, wherever you are, or another day. I am here with Mrs. Parmjeet Sran, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And we're going to have a great time here today. So I hope everyone is doing well. And I am your host and founder, Pratibha Day, and you are tuning in for your cup of courage, hope, and imagination. So we use courage on this platform to showcase our stories. We use imagination to understand and resonate, and we use hope to overcome. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty well. I feel pretty aligned, very aware, and rested, and I'm ready for the day. Yeah.
That's perfect.
And we're on the same time
Yeah,
zone. I didn't
thank
know
God for
that.
that.
I didn't know that. And I love how we're vibing, your outfit and my colors. And I was just telling, so for anyone who's going to listen to this, I was just telling Parm that she's young like me. Your cheeks, everything, you're shining. You're just so happy.
You are as young as you feel, Pratibha.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like, it's interesting when people pronounce my names, in the Hindi accent. Of course, I can too,
Yeah.
Pratibha. But it's different because since I came to the States, I've been Pratibha.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So then I just took the Pratibha and had that as my name for the rest of my life
Yeah.
because most people cannot pronounce it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I shortened mine to Param, that's why, because
that's why I asked you. I said, what is
Paramjeet was a mouthful, right?
Yeah, that's why I said, what is your full name?
Yeah.
I think that's a great topic to touch on because, well, I came here as an immigrant. I don't know about you, but when we do, it's like we go through so many like trial and errors and like challenges with our names and, because the culture is so different. Yeah.
I
So,
came as an immigrant too, and I'm so proud of myself that I
yeah.
didn't use anyone as a step to come to the
Wow.
foreign country.
Wow.
I came on my own. I did my IELTS. I successfully passed an interview to come as a nurse in England. So I
Wow.
moved from England to here. Yeah, yeah, it was like, Delhi, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was an agency from UK. They went to Delhi to recruit nurses, and my
Wow.
specialty is mental health, so they needed mental health nurses. And there were like 16,000 applications. They
Wow.
selected 2,000 out of that, and out of those 2,000 applications they only recruited 16 nurses, 1 6, and I was one of them.
Wow.
So I'm so proud. Like you know how in India the trend is get your son or daughter married to a foreigner man or
Mm-hmm.
woman, and then that's their way to enter into the foreign country. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
so proud of myself. I did it all by myself. And of course with the grace of God.
Wow. I love how eloquent you are. And yes, you did it yourself. So you consider yourself self-made.
Of course. And
Wow.
with the grace of God, he's always there. Like I don't know if you believe in God. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a religious person, but I'm very much
Yeah.
spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think there is a higher spiritual power.
Mm-hmm. Of
Yeah,
why things happen the way they do and turn out
of
really well.
course.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. So let me tell the people a bit about you. So Miss Parm Sran is an RN by profession, inspirational speaker, and well-being coach by passion. She's been coached under Mr. Tony Robbins, Mrs. Marissa Peer, and Mr. Les Brown, to name a few. She works with people who live with mental health challenges and are feeling stuck in life. People's challenges consist of low confidence and self-esteem, which hinders their success due to their limiting beliefs. Parm believes to self-empower. Parm, Parm helps people to self-empower themselves to stay motivated while going through the journey of life and how they can fully enjoy it. Her upcoming book is entitled Own Your Life, Create As You Go, a self-help book. And you can subscribe to her channel in the link above. And her channel is called Coaching and Speaker Parm Sran. When did you start your
Wonderful.
channel?
It's been a while
Hmm.
since I started my channel, but I haven't been like very committed to it.
Mm.
I only became more committed since I did my course with Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy, Mr. Les Brown.
I know. That's where we met. Yeah.
Yes. Since I did training course with speaking course with Mr. Brown, that's when I became more committed to my YouTube
Hmm.
channel. Yeah.
Me too. I started Try Together after my 3-minute speech, and I've been doing it for over a year now. That's because of Les Brown's course. So I joined
Yeah.
early when it first started, and I was in it for the whole time until the end of it.
You were
So
so lucky. Yeah.
yeah, the timing was right, and it's God, like you said, because I needed something, like I needed
Mm.
help. So yeah, and I became committed to Try Together and had this YouTube channel, and then I started doing live streams, which I had never done, and that's not easy, to do, to put yourself out there because you don't know any better. So I have to give it up to you to even create a channel and come on here, or even for you to put yourself out there, because a lot of people don't. They have a fear, and
Yes.
you don't, because you were just saying you came to this country, America, by yourself
Canada.
without relying on marriage, as the resource. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Do you feel like that is an ethical thing to do? Like when people, get married for the reason to come to this country?
The ethical thing to do is what resonates with your inner self.
Mhm.
And if your motive is to get married just to cross the borders, I don't think that's ethical.
Yeah.
If you genuinely like that person and you feel like you can commit to them for the whole life, and you are willing um, to go through life's ups and downs with that person, then
Oh.
of course it's a good thing, right?
Mhm.
But if your motive is just to do that, just to cross the borders, just to sit in the plane, then it's a little bit unethical, I think.
I think
Well,
it's a
that's my
lot.
opinion.
It's interesting, but I think it's only when you know yourself it can be that way. So
Yes.
so tell me, like when you were coming here yourself, so did your family, tell you to not go, or like how was that process for you?
When I was preparing to come to UK,
Mhm.
my children were very little. Both of my children, my son and daughter,
Oh.
they were like 5 and 6
Mhm.
in age. Um, that was the only hard part,
Mm.
leaving them behind.
Wow.
Um, and I lived in UK for 1 year without them.
Wow.
But the good thing was that my in-laws' family was there with them. My husband was there with them.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, I had a little bit of resistance from the family.
Mm.
But then I guess I was so hooked up to change my life
Mm.
in a way that I know I can. And I knew it was for the betterment of my children's life. And if it was only for me, I may not have done it. I might have heard, I might have listened to other people. But when it comes to my children, nothing can stop me.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. I got emotional talking about my children.
Well, I came here when I was 6, so 1999 when I came here, and I was small.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't, maybe I would have been married by now or had
Mhm.
kids, or, the traditional thing. I wouldn't have had
Yes.
the opportunity, to be doing my master's and doing, Try Together and business side of things, because women are not supposed to usually do that, in India. Well, at least back in the day. So you left, your kids behind. I feel like you're so independent, like so strong minded. What made you that way? Just as a child you were?
think from inside,
Mm-hmm.
when we are born in this world,
Mm.
we are strong minded
Wow.
because we are part of the creator.
Wow.
And how can a part of the creator be any weak? Because the creator himself is so strong.
Wow. Look at you, Coach Parm.
So
Wow.
that's what I feel like. I didn't feel this way,
Mm.
I would say, even 10 years ago. I have evolved a lot, and I wish I had this much insight
Mm.
that I have now when I was in 20s.
Wow. Like me.
Like you. And
Yay.
that's why I said you are lucky. But I still being grateful to the universe that I have met few people on my journey
Mm-hmm.
that have created this path for me. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
grateful for meeting all the mentors, and and during childhood we are always like we are so free spirits.
Mm-hmm.
We are fearless. We're
That's
so
my
bold.
that's
We
my
take
Instagram
any risk.
handle.
I know spirits fly, free spirits fly. And and that's how we are when we are children, when we are born. But then with the families, with the society, and with the norms or so-called norms,
Mm.
we kind of get entangled into those norms and those rituals that we start limiting ourselves. I haven't been strong, I would say, but I always portrayed strong.
Wow.
Even if I was hurting from inside a lot, I didn't show it.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I think that's not a very good idea. You
Mm-hmm.
have to show how you feel. Because once you know how you feel, once you are true to yourself, once you can portray how you feel from inside, that's how you are from outside, the world becomes easier. Everything becomes easier. But when you're fighting between your inner self and outer self, then it becomes a challenge.
Wow.
Don't you think so?
Yes, I've been there. And a lot of my old pictures that I just reposted, and in general, for 12 years, I'm 28. And, for 12 years, I was in suffering, but I was always smiling. Like people always saw me as happy, but I was suicidal and I was clinically depressed. And no one would ever know unless I shared my feelings or told anyone, but I didn't tell anyone, until a long time. And I just feel like with that, or I remember when I was in therapy and, we get this title of resiliency. We're so strong, we're so resilient. And then I question, is that even a great thing? Like I feel proud that, I have that trait. Most people aren't, and they commit suicide because they're not able to be as resilient. But I question, as in, resiliency, is that like positive, and usually it's always knotted with trauma, like intertwined with trauma. So, but when you in therapy, like when you are so resilient, it's like to put your guard down, that I don't always have to be as strong or come off as fierce. Like I can just relax now. But it can be really hard to just be relaxing when you've been like a fight or flight mode, all of your life. And that restlessness, like, I was used to such sudden changes, overnight, that it's like I'm always paranoid, or I would always before in my past be, you know, panicked about like, oh, life changes so suddenly, like because no one ever asked me for my say, no one ever listened to me. So that is my answer.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's so true. And yeah, I agree. It's not always you don't always have to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
If you need help, ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do it all by yourself. The true thing is, when you feel calm inside, when you feel like happiness from inside
Mm-hmm.
while doing something,
Mm-hmm.
that means it's resonating with your inner self and it's resonating with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
When you are pushing yourself and it feels like a challenge, that means you are not resonated either within
Oh
yourself or
wow.
with the universe. So anything that you do, if it feels like easy,
Mm-hmm.
that means universe is in agreement to it.
Oh wow.
That's how I feel.
That's interesting. You say that universe is in agreement. So what about, when we're going through hardships that we don't control? That's different, right?
So if you had met me 5 years, 10 years ago, I would have answered it differently.
I would be 20 years old.
um, but today I would answer that I have been studying so much about mind body relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that we create what we create.
Wow.
Our mind creates everything. Sometimes we create unknowingly, unconsciously.
Mm.
All the hardships that now I know all the hardships that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I created them because that's how I used to think.
Me
Your
too. Yeah.
thinking creates the things.
You're
Thoughts
right.
become the things, right?
You're right. I agree.
So I don't now at this stage, like all my life, I have been blaming
Mm-hmm.
others for bullying me. I've been blaming my parents for not insulting the self, not instilling the self confidence in me that I needed.
Mm.
I've been blaming the society for treating the way they treated me by bullying and by rejecting and by comparing. But then now I have come to realize like it was not none of their faults. It was no one's fault. It was all my creation. It was
Mm.
all that I created. I could have created it differently
Wow.
if I hadn't been thinking that way, right? And now again, we are creating it every moment. We're creating our life every moment. That's why when I talk to my clients, I always tell them that watch your thoughts.
Mm.
Think before you think. Because by thinking, you're creating. And
Wow.
then don't blame anyone that this happened because you thought that.
Wow.
It's not self blaming, it's self consciousness.
Mm.
Like it's I feel like it's so liberating, it's so empowering that you create your life. It's so empowering. I don't have to depend on anyone else. I am the
Mm.
creator of my life, and I create the way I want to. I can create the way I want to. All I
Wow.
have to do is just watch my thoughts, watch my feelings, watch my frequency of vibration.
Mhm.
Right?
Wow. I truly needed this lesson today. Thank you, God. Like, no, seriously, this morning it's like I felt usually since I have a power voice, I always Western mom. Is that what it's
Oh, yeah. My
is that
son
the school?
graduated from Western. He gave me
Oh,
this cup.
congrats. I like the purple cup.
Thanks.
And
My
it
daughter
matches the water in
graduated
the
from
back.
Trent.
Yeah. Watches
Yeah,
the matches the water.
yeah.
Um what was I saying?
You needed this lesson today.
Yeah, because since I have a power voice, I can assert myself in situations that I should just walk away or I should just ignore. But for me, it's like I like to do right by what's right. And especially when it comes to my parents, to explain to them, this is not respectful. This is a more respectful way to speak to one another because I've done the work on myself through reading and therapy and things, right? But in the culture and you know like them saying this is just how it's been for 46 years, but it's like they don't want to bring the change, so it's like I can explain myself, hey, this is better, but it's like if they don't want to change it, they're not going to change it. And it just makes me realize how matured and how much growth I have compared to them, not in a like I'm better way, but in the sense that if I hadn't done this work with taking the responsibility for myself, I could have ended up that way as well. Like, that mindset of, oh, this is just how things are. But you have the power to change it. Them not tapping into that power that you can change your reality. It's like, and you live that way and then you pass on. That is a sad thing, you
That
know?
is a very sad thing. That is a very sad thing. And
Yeah.
I must say that I feel very blessed and very fortunate that both my children, I say
Mm.
they're wiser than me.
Wow.
And I believe, and I tell every parent that
Mm.
you are a parent doesn't mean that you are smarter.
That's true.
You
Hmm.
came into this world few years before them. That doesn't make you any wiser.
No.
It's the self development, it's the self consciousness that you develop. That's what makes you wiser. So that's why
Wow.
I feel really bad when parents they kind of force things onto children.
Hmm.
Usually what happens, parents force their dreams that they couldn't achieve onto their children.
Hmm.
And honestly, Pratibha, I have never asked my children to do this or that. I
Mm.
have always given them freedom. Do what makes you happy from inside.
Wow.
Do what you think you will enjoy. And they have turned out, and I don't measure people based on their success in terms of wealth or money
Hmm.
or the career or the rank.
Hmm.
I always feel like your success is your level of happiness, how
Wow.
fine human being you are. Are you hurting another human being? Are you hurting animals? Are you hurting the environment? If you are, then you're not a good human being. You're not a successful human being. Being successful, being happy human being, being human
Mm.
is that you have love, kindness, and passion and compassion. And that's how I have taught my children, and they are so fine human beings, and I am such a proud mom.
Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just thinking, if others had moms like you or you as a mom, you know, it's really important for the parent to be well when they have children. That's just my belief.
Hmm. Hmm. And I wasn't like this all the time. I There are few things that I wish I hadn't done. Like some,
Mm.
I always feel regret leaving my children behind, but then that was the need of that time, right? I couldn't bring them with me. And I still sometimes say to them, I feel really bad that I had to leave you guys alone in there. And they were like, Mom, we don't even remember that. Stop
Yeah.
bringing that
Yeah.
up. And they're like, we're fine. We turned out fine, so don't worry about it.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. It's
Yeah.
true though, you don't remember at that age, and it's really you holding on to that memory because you made a sacrifice, that
Yes.
hard decision you had to make.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you what led you to your interest in mental health? Like in India, you focused on mental health as a nurse, right?
In India, I wasn't focused on mental health. When I was in India, I was teaching in a college of nurses or school of nurses.
Wow.
I taught in three, four schools of nurses in India.
Mm.
But then I did my specialty in mental health. I don't know why. Maybe it was easy because it's funny. It's funny to say that I'm a nurse, but I still don't like wounds.
You don't like what?
Wounds, wounds, injuries,
Wounds. Oh, yes, yes.
outer
Wow.
wounds.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in inner wounds.
Oh, wow.
That's what pushed me into the direction of mental health. And so when there was an opportunity to work as a mental health nurse in UK,
Wow.
um, that's I jumped on it.
Wow.
and that was kind of a story, again in itself. And I shared in another podcast,
Mm-hmm.
um, that I was ready to go to UK, but all of a sudden everything stopped. All the paperwork was ready, and then I didn't hear back from the agency, that the agency in India who was
Mm-hmm.
partner with the agency in UK.
Yeah.
And then we got a message that, oh, they broke their partnership, so everything stopped. Like, I was so heartbroken at that time because I
Yeah.
was so looking forward to it. And then I kind of let it pass.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kept looking for more opportunities like that opportunity, like maybe that something else will come up.
Mm-hmm.
But then a year passed, nothing came up. One day, what happened? I got out of my workplace, and I used to bus home,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting there at the bus stop waiting for the bus. And I didn't know, Pratibha, it was a nudge from the universe, it was a sign from the higher spirit. It asked me to call the agency. I opened my phone, I checked, I had their number, the Indian agency. I called
Mm.
them. I said, hey, I was among those selected nurses, but I haven't heard back. And I know you guys broke up the partnership. But is there any other option? And the girl on the other side said, I can give you the UK agency's number. You can contact them directly. We have already sent your paperwork to them. And I was like, why didn't I do it before?
Mm-hmm.
But there is always a timing for everything to happen in divine's time.
Mm.
And I was so thankful to the universe, like, wow, thank you for at least giving me this idea to call. And then I went home, I called the UK agency, and then they were like, okay, send us these papers, and everything started again. And then within 3-4 months, I was in UK.
Wow.
Yeah, it's always I believe in timing.
So you leaving your kids behind, was that the most challenging thing that you went through in life so far?
No.
Okay. Do you want to share?
um so I was someone who was very much lively, jovial, very much like I wanted to live life and love life. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
was when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
Always singing, dancing, not the care of the world at all.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started high school, that's when I was made conscious or cautious of my body
Mm.
because I'm short.
Me too. 5'1".
I'm not even five.
Oh, 4'11", 4'9", 4'10".
Okay, I'm not going to tell you that. I'll
Okay.
tell you later. um, so what happened then? All my classmates, they were growing up. They
Mm-hmm.
were taller than me, and I was always compared,
Mm.
and I was sometimes rejected because of the height.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I wanted to participate in an activity, and I couldn't because I was short. It's a funny one. Once when I was doing my nursing, BSc nursing in College of Nurses, Christian Medical College of Nurses in Ludhiana, in India, we call it CMC, and we had an annual function, and we were doing Punjabi folk dance, bhangra. You know bhangra, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we had a coach, and he
Mm-hmm.
was teaching us, training us, and I was in the training.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the training, and I had this because I was in the training, I was getting trained. I thought I will be in the team.
Oh.
And and I always had the compliment from coaches and from teachers. Wow, she does so well. Look at her actions. She's doing it so well. She's learning so well. So I was good at it.
Mm-hmm.
If not the best, I was good at it. But when the day came to to perform, I was told they only need tall girls for it.
It's traumatic.
I cried my eyes out because I was practicing for so long, well, 2, 3, 4 weeks. I cried my eyes out. I was so upset. I was so upset. And one of my teacher, bless her soul, she's not in the world anymore.
Oh.
She she said, "Don't worry, let's plan another activity." She was so good. So then we had team of 6, 7 girls. We planned another activity, and that was Gujarati dance.
Mm. Oh, is
I
it
practiced
the
Gujarati dance, and then we performed Gujarati dance.
which one is that? Is that the what's that called? Garba? Or no?
Garba.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And but things like that was
Mhm.
like, now I feel like that was a minor thing, but at that time that was a very big thing for me. So there has been like
Yes.
so many incidents like that where I felt rejected. And of course, in matrimonials,
Mm.
obviously the height is a thing, right? They always need tall girls for some reason. And so that's where I was rejected too. And I'm glad I was
Matrimonials. Are you talking about arranged marriage?
marriages.
Yeah. But you found your husband now.
he he never commented on my height. Never.
That's the right kind of person.
Never ever.
That's right.
Since I met him and I have a very big in-laws family.
Mm-hmm.
God bless them all. They have always been so loving, caring. Not even single one of them, like I'm talking about my close family, not the
Mm-hmm.
far relatives and in-laws,
Mm-hmm.
but my close family, like my husband, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, my sister-in-laws, and their children.
Mm-hmm.
None of them ever made me feel that I was any less.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I was always made feel that I wasn't enough.
Wow.
And that, Pratibha, since like so many years, I kept hearing that affected my self-confidence and self-belief, and so many limiting beliefs I had to deal with. And that's what I teach people now, because I came out of my own self-limiting beliefs. That's what I like to help people now to come out of their self-limiting beliefs, and we all have them. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
someone needs to pinpoint it. Sometimes we don't even realize that we have limiting beliefs. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that why I was why I was the way I was until one of my coaches pointed it out to me. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize I had self-limiting beliefs. I didn't realize that the low confidence, low self-esteem was because I believed what other people kept telling me.
Like how Les says, your
Yes.
opinion of you does not define the reality.
Yeah.
Or,
Other people's
in other words.
opinion is none of your spiritual business.
Mhm. I like that.
But that's what I believed. I
Mm.
always believed what others told me about me. Now I don't.
Wow.
Now I don't.
I'm so glad you're over that. How many years? So, your journey, how old were you? Well, how young were you when you came to England from India?
Oh, I came in, I can't even remember my age, honestly. I
20s?
never count my age,
I love
Pratibha.
that.
I never count my,
Well,
anyone
you're forever
ask me,
young.
I'm forever, anyone ask me my age, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm 25. And I'm gonna stay 25 the day I die, even if I
yeah.
die at 100.
At heart, right? So for me, how young do I look?
You look like a late 20s.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I am.
But you can easily pass for early 20s.
Yeah, I do sometimes. Like, one female who cut my hair, she thought I was 22. She's 21. She said, because the way I dress, book bag, and I can go to a school. That's why one thing I do want to say though, because so I was a substitute teacher for my state here in New Jersey, and I did a lot of teaching jobs. And so I'll tell you this about confidence. One of the reasons why I wouldn't teach at my high school that I graduated from is because of my confidence that I'm short.
Mhm.
So since I'm short, they're not gonna the kids, like
They don't get
teachers,
intimidated.
yeah, they're not going to take me seriously because of my height. And I
Ah,
always had low confidence in that area, that because I'm so young, I was still younger, like 24, and I'm teaching high school, that they won't take me seriously. They're like, oh, like whatever, curse me out, because kids here can curse you out,
so
and
true.
they're so mean, I'm just like, oh, I'm not ready for that.
It's
So
it's
no.
so it's amazing you said that, because now I'm thinking back, because as I said, I was teaching in
Yeah.
schools of nurses.
Yeah.
I never felt that while teaching.
Mm.
That that didn't come into my confidence part for some reason. Isn't it strange?
Were
I
you
never thought
comfortable?
about it. I was comfortable. I was
Yeah.
confident while I was in front of students, because, or maybe I wasn't comparing my height with them. I wasn't comparing. I knew that I was their teacher. I have
Mhm.
already learned what they are learning,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
the confidence part never came into
Yeah.
existence for me when I was teaching. It's strange. And I had boys and girls in class, my students,
Yeah.
and some boys were like 6 feet tall,
Yeah.
but I never felt that, and they were always like, they were so respectful to me,
Yeah.
and
Because
I
they're
never
learning
felt,
from you. You're the teacher.
yeah,
In India, there's like corporal punishments for
yeah,
disrespecting teachers. So they look at teachers with respect. Well, I don't
yeah,
I think, right? In India.
yeah, and I feel really really fortunate that I always had really good students, and I always had good teachers too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I had one young student, I think second grade. It was his first day. I was subbing that day, and he was new, and he came from Philadelphia, and he was like, "You don't know what you're doing, do you?" And it's true. I did, like, I was carrying myself, with confidence at that time. I had already subbed often. But when he said that, it's like kids tell the truth or they can know. He's like, you don't know what you're doing, do you? Like, and I was like, I tried not to laugh. Like, I was like, oh my God, like he knows.
I
But
think students here have a different way of treating teachers, or maybe that's how they are raised. Like, the number one thing is they call their teachers by name. We never
yeah,
called our teachers by name in India.
yeah,
Right? That'll be like a disrespectful thing to do.
yeah.
But here it's the
It's like,
culture.
oh, you're just my teacher.
It's
Because when I
normal.
lived in Thailand, so I came here when I was young, but when I lived in Thailand, I was teaching ESL. I'm certified internationally, like I would do my
Yeah.
training. So when I was teaching there, yeah, so the Thai teachers there, it's like they have authority. They are the parents for the day. Whatever the teacher says, the child will have to do, and the parent is just in the background. The parent's not first in Thailand. Is the teacher is first. So whatever she says, that's how it goes. And it's usually
Yeah.
females. So if they can hit the child, they can, and it's normal there,
Hmm.
even though it's illegal, but no one says anything because that's them disciplining,
Yeah.
even though I'm totally against that. And but
Hmm.
that's just to show you that that's how much respect they have for teachers because they're with them all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true. That's so true. It's interesting how cultures are so different
Yeah.
from one part to the other. And
Mhm.
my children, when they came to England, they were
Mhm.
still little. Like I was able to bring them with me after 1 year.
Wow. You got
Uh,
lucky too.
yes, very lucky. And so when they came to England, it was
Mhm.
such a shock for them. Like in India, we don't speak English at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, no.
Whatever English they learned in grade 1 or 2, how much is that?
Mhm.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so language was a challenge, and then the whole environment, new people, new friends, new scenarios, new environment, and new language. I was so worried for them. I was so worried, Pratibha. Oh,
Wow.
the first day I went to get them, I took them to the school, got the admission done and everything. And then I wanted to talk to the principal. Uh, and uh, and I said to the principal, like, my children, they don't know English. They don't speak English and they won't understand. I'm really concerned if they need anything, how is that going to work out? Because they didn't, it was a totally English area where we lived. There was no
Mm,
Punjabi Hindi teacher over there, like no person, Punjabi Hindi person over there, all English people. And principal said to me, he said, Parm, you are worrying unnecessarily. They will be so fluent in 6 months that you will be amazed. I said, okay, but I'm still worried for the 6 months. And then he said, okay, don't worry. We have some students in the class, like there were a couple other students who could speak another language than English. Couple Gujarati and South Indian people.
yeah.
They could understand a little bit Punjabi Hindi, right? And he said,
Wow.
we'll partner, we'll pair them up with them. I said, okay.
Oh,
But then I was still concerned, and
yeah.
I always, this is in my prayers all the time, that God is meeting my every need every moment.
Wow.
This is in my prayer. And what happened there, when I went next week, there was a posting for teaching assistant in the
And
school,
it was you. Was it you?
and applied. I applied. I said, can parents apply? And they said, of course, parents can apply, and applied.
Wow. Wow.
I went for the interview. The interview was 3 ways process. It wasn't like they're gonna keep anyone. It was 3-way process. They asked me they asked me to demonstrate how I will take care of kids, how I will teach them, and so I was specifically hired for like special need children.
Mm-hmm.
And so they saw me dealing with them, and they saw me teaching them, and I was hired.
Wow.
And that was
Look
one
at
year
that.
course. That was 1 year. And so I was in the school all morning with my children. And my manager was so nice. Like, I always attract really good employers.
Wow.
My manager, she was so nice in England at this time. And she agreed to give me permanent evening shifts. So I was working in the school in the morning and I was doing my nursing shift in the evening. But I was so happy that at least I was there for my children
Oh,
if
wow.
they need anything.
What
And
an incredible story. Yeah.
and interestingly, after 6 months, kids are so resilient. After 6 months, they were more fluent in English than me.
Yeah. So
They
the
could
gentleman
lead me
was
anywhere.
right.
Yeah.
But hearing this reminded me of my own journey and things I didn't realize that uh, I don't remember my parents worrying about me because I was put back a grade and I didn't speak English. But
Uh-huh.
it just, when I think about it, it's like I did all that on my own from what I
Mm.
remember. So it's like, my parents were working to provide, in the States and things. It's like, I don't think anyone, my whole life, I felt abandoned and that, no one was there for
Oh.
me because like I would stay home after school myself. Like, so it's like, no, I give kudos to the fact that, well, I'm realizing this now that when you mention, your kids not speaking English, et cetera. And it's like, for me, it was just me. Like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? No one was like holding my hand or like mom and dad being able to be there for me. But that's the life you want to create for your kids, is where you can be with them in each step
Mhm.
of their life, but not suffocate them, but to be there. Like, do you feel like that, if that position didn't come about, that they would have had maybe more mild traumas or like, poor experiences?
Yes, for sure, because language is such a big thing. And how do
Yeah.
you express yourself otherwise if you don't know the language,
Yeah.
right? And I have
Yeah.
when I was in England, I worked with people living with dementia.
Mm.
And there are there are types of dementia.
Hmm.
And one type of dementia, you lose your language, you lose your
Wow.
communication. And I have seen those clients living in such a kind of a difficult state. And I know the importance of communication and language.
Hmm.
It's so, so critical.
That's what I was telling my parents this morning. The experience I was telling you about not being able to change them, like
Mm.
telling them how to be more loving and respectful towards one another. But I was telling them that language has meaning, like your words have power. Anything you say, it can be hurtful. But it's interesting how I feel like when you're not educated about language and the power of yourself and you don't have courage, then I
Hmm.
can see how you don't know any better, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
same for my parents too. Like I I ask them to enjoy this moment, this now.
Yeah.
Now is all we have.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about the past.
Yeah.
Stop bringing things from the past and then hurting yourself. But
Yes.
I think no, that's how they have been all their life,
Yeah.
right? Like
Wow.
not only my parents,
Yeah.
many
Mm.
adults, they because I think they find that that stimulation of pain and pleasure in our mind.
Yeah.
I think they still get stimulated by the pain too, and
Mhm.
they get satisfaction out of that
Mm.
instead of changing it into the pleasure stimulus.
Mm. So deep. Yeah.
They don't know any better. You're right. They have never been taught this way. They have never
Yeah.
been told that you can change. You don't have to suffer. Whatever happened happened. You don't have to keep suffering for what happened,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, that was me suffering for all those years because of, those few events. It's like I could have, I didn't know any better about how to get out of it. Nobody helped me. Like, I didn't have self development or therapy. And it's so interesting. I was suffering from the same thoughts every day, like a disease, body dysmorphia, thinking about suicide. Like I was suffering every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, wake up to go to sleep, dream about it. Like I was living in that. And it's
Yes.
incredible that when you're out of it, it's like I can't even remember much about it because
Yes.
it's in the past. Like I'm not living in it.
Sometimes what
Yeah.
happens, even if we know that we are doing this to ourselves, but we don't want to accept it, that we are doing it to ourselves.
That's so big. Yeah,
Right?
I agree with the thoughts that I was doing that to myself, but I still didn't know, I don't know if I don't remember the Indian movie. Oh, there's an Indian movie. Do you know the name? Ek ladki ko dekha to aisa laga. Did you see it? Where the
I
girl is gay. She's a lesbian. No, it's a Hindi
oh,
movie. It's
I
recent.
think
It's
I
on
have
Netflix with
seen the movie. I think I
Anil
have seen the
Kapoor.
movie, but I
Yeah.
don't remember the name.
Yeah, where the guys he's doing the drama, putting on the drama show. Yeah, that
Oh
part.
yeah, I have
Yeah,
seen that movie.
yeah, the part when she's in the box, she's like, Daddy, mujhe nikalo, like get me out of here, to her
Yes.
dad. That's how I felt like
Mm.
my whole life, like that. Whoever directed that and created that, made that scene, that is so accurate for people who live in suffering. It really does feel like a box, like somebody help me get out, but you don't know how to get out. My
And
whole life was
sometimes
like
you don't
that.
even,
Yeah,
yeah, sometimes you don't even ask for help. That was
that
me.
too. Yeah.
I didn't even ask
Pride.
for help
I had
because
pride.
because I wasn't accepting it,
Yeah. Hmm.
that I was suffering. I didn't want to accept it that I was suffering, so I didn't ask for help. But I portrayed everything outside was perfect, normal. No one knew what was going inside me
Yeah.
because I never told anyone. I never
Hmm.
shared with anyone how I was feeling.
Hmm.
It was all good.
And was that about your height?
It's it all. This is you will read the details in my book.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever happens in our childhood, and if it doesn't get dealt with at that age, we
Mm-hmm.
carry it forward, and that comes and shows up in every area of our life. It could
Mm-hmm.
be relationships, it could be your own personal self development, it could be career, it could be anything. It comes into every area of life, it shows in every area of life. And emotions, Pratibha, I always tell my clients, let them out. Because, and there is a healthy way to let emotions out. You don't have to hit and scream or yell at someone. There is a
Mm-hmm.
healthy way to let your emotions come out. But when we don't let our emotions come out in a healthy way, we
Mm-hmm.
keep building them inside. Then once they come, they're gonna come out. They're gonna come out no matter what. But
Mm-hmm.
when they come out on their own, they come out in a really ugly shape. And that's how my emotions came out after years. They came out as clinical depression.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was bad. That
Oh,
was, I can't even, it's like you're tied down to a bed or something, like you can't even get up. Like,
you have to get up,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? You have to go to work. You
Mm-hmm.
have to
I
cook. You
wasn't
have
able
to
to.
clean.
Yeah.
You have to take care of your children.
Mm-hmm.
And and honestly, if I didn't have my children in my life, I might have not been alive.
Wow.
They have always been my why.
Mm-hmm.
Why I have to get out of bed, why
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to work, why I have to cook, why I have to smile, why I
Yeah.
have to do the things that I need to do. They always have been my why. And if your why is strong enough, then
Mm-hmm.
how automatically comes. And you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about how.
That is so true. I want to ask you, do you have a big dream, for your
Oh
life? What is your dream?
gosh, I have so many dreams. So many dreams. I have been so ambitious all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when I was little, listen, when I was little, I think
Mm-hmm.
when we are in that age, we only know what we know.
Mm-hmm.
I used to when I was Rekha, you know Rekha,
Mm-hmm.
Hindi film
Oh,
actress.
you're like her.
I love her.
Yeah.
A-
Me
And
too. I liked her a lot too.
yeah, and whenever I will see her movie, in one movie she was acting as an air hostess, and then what I wanted to become an air hostess.
What movie was that?
I don't remember now. And then, like, it was always like whatever she was doing, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do, right?
Wow.
But that was like my childhood thing, right? But I was very much interested into acting and theater,
Mm.
and that's why I always wanted to participate in any activity, any
Oh.
skit, anything when I was in the school.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think your home environment affects what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So but my parents, they both are retired head teachers,
Excuse me.
and and so the thought was always to study, get a
Mm.
degree, and get a good job,
The
right?
traditional way.
The traditional way. So that's what I did. But I'm still thankful to my parents that I was moved towards nursing,
Mm-hmm.
because nursing has opened so many avenues for me,
Wow.
especially mental health nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So my dream is to become a world famous speaker.
Wow. You are already.
Because as Mr. Les Brown says, your voice has power,
Mm-hmm.
and why not use it?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to help as many people as I can.
Wow.
Um, I always say that I aspire to inspire at least 1 million people before I expire.
Wow.
So that's my dream.
So have you started speaking yet?
I have been speaking
Great.
at different conferences
Yeah.
and seminars. Yes,
Wow.
um, and and so far I have been speaking locally.
I like that.
Yeah, and and
That's
I
how Les started.
yeah yeah
Mhm.
and yeah and that's my passion too. When I was little, that's
Mm,
how I tell people to find their passion. How you find your passion? Go back into your childhood
mm,
and think about what was that one thing that you did when you were not playing, not sleeping, not eating, when you were alone. What
mm.
was that one thing that you did and you loved doing it and that gave you extreme pleasure? What was that one thing?
Wow.
And for me, I'll shut the door of the room, I'll sit on the couch, I'll take the newspaper, and
Mm,
I'll pretend thousands of audience in front of me and I'll read. I'll
wow.
speak. That's what I used to do when I was alone at home.
I did a lot of crafts, but it's interesting because our Try Together collective coming up that I'm launching, it has, activities in it. And that's interesting that you asked that because I may have to think more about it. What is it that I did? Because, I moved from there to here. So
Mhm.
I'm going to think more and see what comes to mind. Like, what is it that I used to do? You know, like,
Yeah. And the other thing is,
yeah.
will you do that for free?
Yeah.
That's your passion. Because I have been,
Hmm.
all the conferences or seminars I have been speaking for free.
Hmm.
Because I just love that this mic comes in my
Hmm.
hand, Pratibha. Oh my God. That's everything I need.
Hmm.
Yeah. It gives me like that rush.
Hmm.
Yeah.
My friend said that to me when she had come on here, and she said, "Does this feed me? Like it gets like a high, like when I do Try Together, like have guests come on, show the stories and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, like that's what I had said to her a while
Yeah.
ago." And it's interesting because I've been doing this for over a year consistently, and it's something I just do naturally since I was younger. I just love people's stories, and I would always talk to older people,
Yes.
age about, oh, tell me your life story. And I'm like, oh, so romantic, things like that.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
love public speaking. The first time I spoke on stage, I was 22.
Wow.
And I was 22. I didn't even know I was going on stage to speak. I went to a Alana ceremony for minorities at Arcadia University, and it was a
Hmm.
ceremony. And I spoke in front of the university unplanned. I had notes on my iPhone real quickly because I was a writer. I'm a writer, like I can
Yes.
write. And I got on there and I said my paragraph, and then I started crying. I was so nervous.
Oh,
But I'm saying I was 22 and I did that. And it's like I love public speaking.
I
Yeah,
did. Yeah. I did my first speaking on the stage when I was in high school. I was in grade 8.
yeah, wow.
That's when I did it. Yeah. And I have always loved being on the stage and
Hmm.
being in front of the mic.
Me too.
Yeah. The only thing that I when I was sharing my story with Mr. Les Brown in the class,
Hmm.
I
Oh, I
started.
missed that. I
I,
don't think I saw it. Yeah,
yeah, you didn't. When once you go through all the recordings, you will
yeah.
hear it.
Hmm.
So I said most of the people have stage fright,
Hmm.
but me, I have podium fright because
Wow.
I'm always worried. What if the podium is too high for me? Because I'm short.
Oh, what did he say? Did he say anything?
He just lets at oh he gave me really really good feedback on it. It
Mm,
was so he gave me clapping. He said excellent.
yeah. Regarding
but
the
then
podium, though, so do
but
you still
then
have a fear?
I wouldn't say I have a fear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I feel like if I have to go on the stage and I see the podium is too high, I'm going to ask them to remove it.
Yeah.
Now I don't feel the fear, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
still cautious.
Yeah. Well, you don't need a podium, you know.
Yeah, I don't need a podium.
Speakers don't use podiums.
I don't need a podium. Just let me just be.
I
Yeah.
like that. Let me
Yeah.
just
And
be.
Mr. Lesbron said he one comment
Mm.
he made on that was diamonds always come in small packages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You told him, so you told him about your height, right?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
I
It's
know.
true. You and I in it together. Wow. It was
Yeah.
fantastic having you on here today.
Thank you. I'm so delighted.
It's
I'm
nice.
so grateful.
It was nice. It was
It
really
was.
nice. I
Yeah.
hope I hope you have a great rest of your day and that
Thank
you
you.
enjoyed
You
yourself.
You too, Pratibha. Thank you so much again for
Thank
bringing
you.
me here. I didn't even feel like we were like doing a show or something. I thought I have met my old friend and we're talking.
Yeah, that's how it feels. So it's interesting whenever people ask, like, what should I prepare? I'm just like,
Yeah,
nothing. Like, but
yeah,
I think people may not be used to that. It's like, oh, you need this, this. It's like you don't need anything. You don't need,
yeah.
because I have a great laptop. I don't use my mic, but
Uh-huh.
it's the sense of that you don't need to do one, two, three, four, like just flow,
Yeah,
it's a different
yeah,
way of doing it, but it also takes practice and skill. And since I've been doing it for so long now, I don't need notes like on or paste
yeah.
it on the back. I can just know from my mind where to take the conversation, and that's
What
a
was?
skill.
Yeah. Well, asking question is definitely a skill. You have
Yeah.
to ask the right question to get the right answer.
Mm.
Right? You always have
Wow.
to know what to ask. I recently attended 3-day workshop with Joel Boyer, and I
Hmm.
highly recommend it, Pratibha. If you find him on Facebook and if
Hmm.
you come across his workshop, I would highly recommend to do it. I was so amazed. And that's what he said. He said,
Mm.
most time people don't know what to ask.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
asking is a skill.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, where else can I take this? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Take care. Love you.
Love you too.